That mud tube on your porch ceiling is not a pest problem. It is a constructed nursery built by one of the most precise hunters in the insect world. Destroy it, and the spider population around your house doubles within one season. What built it? The mud nest on your ceiling was built by a mud dauber wasp. Not a yellow jacket, not a hornet. A mud dauber is a solitary wasp species that does not form colonies, does not defend territory aggressively, and has never been documented stinging a human without direct physical handling. She does not have a colony to protect. She has a nursery to build. A single female constructs each tube individually, cell by cell, from wet soil she carries in her mandibles from nearby ground sources. The entire structure takes between 1 and 3 days to complete. What is inside? Each mud tube contains between 6 and 15 individual cells. Each cell holds 1 egg and between 1 and 25 paralyzed spiders packed tightly around it as a food supply. The mud dauber does not kill the spiders she collects. She stings each one with surgical precision at the exact nerve cluster that induces permanent paralysis without death. The spider remains alive, unable to move, preserved as fresh food for the larva that hatches from the egg beside it. The larva consumes the paralyzed spiders during development, pupates inside the sealed cell, and emerges as an adult through the mud wall. Every spider inside that nest was removed from your immediate environment. Which spiders she hunts? Mud daubers do not hunt randomly. They hunt by species preference. The black and yellow mud dauber, Sceliphron caementarium, the most common species across North America, preferentially targets orb weaver spiders, crab spiders, and jumping spiders in that order. The blue mud dauber, Chalibium californicum, has a documented preference that separates it from every other predatory wasp species on the continent. It hunts black widow spiders almost exclusively. Field research published in the Journal of Arachnology confirmed that blue mud dauber nests contain black widow spiders at rates exceeding 70% of total prey content across sampled nests in the southwestern and southeastern United States. A blue mud dauber nest on your porch ceiling is an active black widow elimination program operating continuously through the warm season at zero cost. Black widow suppression data. The relationship between blue mud dauber populations and black widow density in residential settings has been studied in field conditions across multiple regions of the United States. Research conducted at the University of California documented that structures with established mud dauber nesting activity showed black widow populations between 40 and 70% lower than comparable structures without mud dauber presence. The mechanism is direct predation at scale. A single blue mud dauber female completes between 2 and 4 nesting cycles per season, depending on climate and prey availability. Each cycle produces a nest containing between 6 and 15 cells. Each cell contains between 3 and 8 black widow spiders. One female mud dauber removes between 36 and 480 black widow spiders from the area surrounding your structure across a single warm season. A black widow extermination service runs between $150 and $300 per treatment and does not prevent new black widows from establishing in the same locations. Structural pest suppression. Beyond black widow predation, the mud dauber population around a residential structure provides broad spider suppression that reduces the conditions that support other pest populations. Spiders concentrate in areas with high prey insect density. A reduced spider population signals reduced prey insect density in the same zone. Mud daubers hunting spiders along your eave lines, porch ceilings, window frames, and foundation perimeter are simultaneously mapping the highest prey insect concentration zones around your structure and removing the predators that had established there. The prey insect populations those spiders were feeding on include mosquitoes, flies, moths, and beetles. The spider removal by mud daubers does not increase those prey populations because the mud daubers themselves are active insect hunters outside of their nesting activity. They feed on nectar and small soft-bodied insects during their own foraging runs. The pest suppression operates at 2 levels simultaneously. The mud dauber hunts insects. The mud dauber also removes the spiders that were hunting insects. Both predator layers are working in your favor from the same nest on your ceiling. The sweep consequence. Sweeping a mud dauber nest off your ceiling in spring removes between 36 and 480 paralyzed spiders that were already extracted from your environment and sealed inside the cells. It destroys the developing larvae that would have emerged as the next generation of black widow hunters. It removes the adult female's investment of 3 days of construction labor and forces her to relocate her nesting activity away from your structure. She does not rebuild in the same location after a nest is destroyed. She identifies the site as unstable and selects a new location outside your immediate yard perimeter. The black widow suppression she was providing to your porch, garage, basement window wells, and foundation perimeter relocates with her or stops entirely if she does not reestablish nearby. The spider population she was controlling rebounds within 4 to 6 weeks. Black widow populations in particular recover quickly because they produce egg sacs containing between 200 and 900 eggs. One surviving black widow replacing the population the mud dauber removed represents a potential 900 spider rebound from a single egg sac. Pest company response. A pest control technician performing a general inspection identifies mud dauber nests as an active stinging insect problem requiring treatment. The nest appearance, a cluster of mud tubes on a ceiling or wall surface, is visually similar to the early construction stages of more aggressive wasp species. Most homeowners cannot distinguish between a mud dauber nest and the beginning of a yellow jacket or paper wasp structure without knowing the specific architectural differences. Pest companies do not volunteer that distinction during an inspection. A mud dauber nest identified during an inspection becomes a line item on the treatment proposal. Wasp and stinging insect treatment runs between $75 and $200 per visit, depending on nest location and company pricing. The treatment typically involves a pyrethroid spray applied to the nest and surrounding area, followed by physical nest removal. The paralyzed spiders inside the nest cells are discarded with the mud structure. The developing larvae are killed. The adult female is killed or driven away. The black widow population she was suppressing receives no replacement predation pressure. A pest company that removes a blue mud dauber nest and charges $150 for the service has simultaneously created the conditions for a black widow infestation that will cost between $150 and $300 per treatment to address when it appears 6 weeks later. Identification and coexistence. Distinguishing a mud dauber nest from aggressive wasp species nests takes 30 seconds and requires no expertise. Mud dauber nests are smooth cylindrical tubes of uniform diameter between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch wide. The surface texture is rough dried mud, with visible construction seams where the female added material in layers. Yellow jacket nests are paper-textured gray or brown combs with open hexagonal cells visible at the entrance. Paper wasp nests are umbrella-shaped open comb structures suspended from a single attachment point with the cells facing downward. Bald-faced hornet nests are enclosed gray paper globes with a single entrance hole at the base. None of those structures look like a mud tube. If the nest on your ceiling is a smooth mud cylinder, it is a mud dauber nest. It contains paralyzed spiders and developing larvae. It does not contain a colony. It does not have guard wasps defending a perimeter. A mud dauber resting on her nest can be approached within inches without triggering a defensive response because there is no colony to defend. Coexistence requires nothing active on your part. Leave the nest intact through the season. The larvae develop, emerge, and the adult mud daubers disperse. The empty nest can be removed in late fall, after emergence is complete, without any chemical treatment, and without disrupting an active population. The following season, a new female may select the same location because dried mud residue signals a previously successful nest site. Annual protection value. Here is what one mud dauber nest on your porch ceiling is worth across a single warm season. A blue mud dauber female completing 3 nesting cycles, removes between 100 and 1,440 black widow spiders from the immediate area surrounding your structure. Black widow extermination services charge between $150 and $300 per treatment visit and recommend quarterly service in black widow active regions. That is between $600 and $1,200 per year in black widow management from one professional service. One blue mud dauber female provides equivalent or superior predation pressure across the same season for zero cost, and leaves a nest that signals future females to return to the same location the following year. The black and yellow mud dauber's orb weaver and jumping spider predation adds additional structural value. Orb weavers construct webs across doorways, under eaves, and across porch corners that most homeowners find objectionable enough to trigger a spider treatment call. A general spider treatment runs between $100 and $200 per visit. Mud dauber predation of orb weaver populations along eave lines and porch ceilings continuously reduces web construction in exactly the locations homeowners find most disruptive. Combined across one season, one active mud dauber nesting site provides between $700 and $1,400 in black widow management value and between $100 and $200 in general spider management value, from a structure that costs nothing to maintain and rebuilds itself annually. The pest company that sweeps it down in April and charges $150 for the service has removed over $1,000 in annual pest protection from your property and replaced it with a quarterly billing cycle. The multi-year value compounds the calculation further. A mud dauber nest left intact through the season leaves dried mud residue on the ceiling surface after the adults emerge and disperse in late summer. That residue contains chemical signals from the previous female's nesting activity. New females scouting nest locations the following spring detect those signals and preferentially select the same site for their own construction. A ceiling that hosted one mud dauber nest in year 1 hosts 2 to 3 nests by year 3, as successive generations return to the chemically marked location. The black widow suppression value that started at $700 to $1,400 in the first season compounds to between $2,100 and $4,200 by the third season as the nesting population grows on the same ceiling without any intervention required. The structural comparison to what pest companies offer across the same 3-year period makes the financial case impossible to argue against. 3 years of quarterly black widow treatment at $150 per visit runs between $1,800 and $2,400 in service fees. Those treatments kill the black widows present at the time of each visit and provide no residual predation pressure between visits. New black widows establish in the same locations within weeks of each treatment because the conditions that support them, sheltered dark spaces with prey insect access, are never addressed. The mud dauber addresses the black widow population continuously, builds a self-renewing nesting system that grows stronger each season, and charges nothing. That is the 3-year calculation the pest industry will never put in a proposal. That is the complete picture. A solitary wasp that builds a precision nursery on your ceiling, fills it with paralyzed black widows, raises the next generation of black widow hunters inside it, and leaves the empty structure as a signal for her offspring to return and repeat the process next season. All of it ending the moment a broom or a spray reaches that mud tube. Drop a comment and tell me what you did the last time you found a mud nest on your porch. I read every one, and the answer is almost always swept it down before finishing this sentence. If you know somebody who just had their mud nests removed during a spring pest treatment, send them this video. Their black widow population is already rebuilding,